wavelength of the remaining members of Snake. We've entered into picks and bans for this game. 3 Snake echo their bans with the Aatrox, Rakan, and Akali. Once again, leaving that Kled open. We've still got the same new ban out of Rogue Warriors, Tahm Kench instead of Alistar for Maestro. And that's the champion he decides to take.
And I love the Tahm Kench ban. Rogue Warriors really playing really respectful. They're just taking away whatever the team has been doing well recently on. And in this series, Tahm Kench has been killing them. He's been saving people from the 1-for-3-1 scenarios, from the collapses. He's dragging the fights out until their teammates can respond with the correct 5v5. So I really do like this takeaway. It is also Snake's most played support.
It absolutely provides massive utility to teams that play against Rogue Warriors. We've got the Alistar to try and do the same thing, but without Devour, that means that Varus has to sit on the map for that much longer, and that's something that Rogue Warriors are going to very much enjoy if they decide to target Lightdown again, as he did take MVP in that previous game. We do have a Swain lock-in. Now, this can be flexed in multiple places, in mid, top, or even bottom. The Ashe would give that away, but instead they decide to take Shen. Rogue Warriors. This is very uncharacteristic of them.
I do like the flex potentials. My head is actually brimming with possibilities. Camille can go into 2 positions, Swain 3 positions, and then for Shen, again, it's a double position champion. They could just run Swain Shen into the bot lane. It is known as a very incredible kill lane, especially against someone like Varus. But they could also just watch and see how the draft actually develops. We know that Shen has been used as a counter pick, especially Flandre is still playing the champion into the likes of Cho'Gath, into the likes of tanks. So Rogue Warriors, they have the chance to just sit back and look at how things actually run through.
And that's where we see this Gragas again locked in, likely going to Flandre after that Game 2 performance. Got so big, so much health. He was absolutely a fat man in the top lane. There's the Respect Kled ban to take away from Rogue Warriors, as is expected. But if Holder decides to return this Camille back into the Gragas after struggling during that laning phase, it speaks to the confidence of Rogue Warriors, or perhaps something else.
I feel like Rogue Warriors are just waiting on the counter pick to go towards Doinby. This is the big change in their draft they've had so far in Game 3. And if, as I predict, it would be a Galio coming out from Snake, then they could then swap the Swain into the Galio. And that's known as a very favorable matchup for the Swain. Very hard for the Galio to go away, and they could place Camille in the jungle, absolutely shut down that lane. And if their AD carries are really short on options, which I don't think they will be, they could still move Swain Shen into the bot lane as that kill potential. But we do have to remember that SMLZ recently did play the Misfortune into the Varus. We have been seeing it pop up as a sort of counter pick. You can trade through the minion waves against the Varus, so that makes it quite an even matchup.
We see the Ashe still banned away from SMLZ. He's still got Lucian, he's still got Kai'Sa, Caitlyn, plenty of champions that he can try to take down. There. But the big tell here is for Snake. Do they reveal their jungler, or do they save counter pick for Guo? Kindred locked in for SOFM, saying, hey, let me carry, I can do it this time.
So this opens up the potential counters towards the top side. Swain actually does pretty decently into the Gragas as well, out damages him and can match with the sustain. So that could be a potential with Holder. We could see the jungle being picked up for Kiwi being the Camille. And throw that out of the window.
Yeah, another Rise lock-in for Doinby in the mid lane. And that would put SMLZ on Swain down bottom, as Killua currently looking at Xin Zhao, locks it in for Kiwi. So another engaged jungler for Rogue Warriors. Doinby going back to that same Rise in the mid lane. And Guoguo gets himself counterpick.
I'm actually a little bit surprised about the Swain in terms of the bot lane. After the 0.38 AP ratio nerfs and the rise of AD carries, we've actually been seeing a lot less Swains in our games. A lot of the Swains have been actually going to the solo lanes, the top lane, the mid lane as a counter pick. But Rogue Warriors are going back to something that doesn't have the lane push, but does have the kill threat. So this is the 3-man game from Rogue Warriors. Can the 3-man of the Xin Zhao, Swain, and Shen take over the bot side against the likes of the Kindred?
They've got their choice of lanes as well. As you can see, the coach of Snake speaking furiously to try to get his final points and advice across before he has to go and shake hands with Stake on the opposite side, because Snake, they're one game away from taking a victory against the #1 team in their conference. If they can close it out here, they get so close to picking up that playoff spot. But Rogue Warriors, they're going to try to give them a run for their money.
Definitely. Snake basically running with the same composition they did in Game 2. Really strong at securing their own Baron and dragging the game out later. But this time around, I feel like Rogue Warriors have expanded their arsenal. They do have the stronger jungler matchup with Xin Zhao into the Kindred. That was already a good matchup in 8.14, and on 8.15, Kindred was nerfed quite heavily. 25% attack speed taken away from the Wolf's Frenzy. So that will be much more into Kiwi's favor. What he's looking at to do is really push Kindred back from the bot side and then try to influence the bot side with the bot lane with the kill threat.
That flash shadow dash followed up by the Ravenous Flock and never move to keep somebody locked down for a really long period of time. Even if you are an Alistar, that is a risky matchup to go into before level 6. Plus, Doinby gets to return towards that Cassiopeia in the mid lane with his Rise. He's already shown what he can do in that matchup with some assistance from Kiwi and Holder. But as we load onto the Rift, we get one more chance to hear from the fans who they think is going to take the victory, and whether or not Snake will get themselves closer to playoffs or Rogue Warriors will continue to cement their dominance in the Western Conference.
Snake just handing Rogue Warriors 10th loss of the season. That's how successful they have been. Out of a potential 57 games, only dropping 10 is a massive accomplishment for Rogue Warriors.
But now that's time to find out with Rogue Warriors versus Snake. An early prowl from Rogue Warriors steps into the jungle of Snake to scout out early vision from the starting location of SOFM, but they just get themselves a ward onto blue buff and are spotted on their way back down into the bottom lane. So we do get standard lane starts. No invades result in any upset shenanigans, which is standard laning phases from just about everyone as SOFM heads to red buff and Kiwi does the same.
And this is a very favorable level 1 for Rogue Warriors because they have far more kill threat onto the bot side compared to Snake's combination of Kindred and Gragas onto the top side. Camille should not be looking to push the wave. She should be playing as safe as possible. And then you look at Xin Zhao's Keystone rune choice. Typically, Xin Zhao does go for the pressed attack a lot of the times to win out the jungle matchup. But with Kindred being range, with his duty of basically ganking the bot lane repeatedly, he has gone for the phase rush.
Look at how aggressive Kiwi is being. He takes the red buff and immediately steps into topside jungle to look for SOFM, just in case he were going to go for a double buff start. And then collapses bottom to take the first scuttle, which coin flip doesn't land in SOFM's favor as Kiwi is able to steal it away and SOFM resets the timer.
It does look like he is going to get the mark, however, so the coin flip...
Oh, it is, yes.
Yeah, actually working for SOFM.
Mark didn't appear on the minimap in time. And yeah, SOFM finds himself that first mark. That feels good. So vertical jungling now is the follow-up for Rogue Warriors to try and break that apart. Killua with early lane push from that Swain. Places a ward, and SOFM will try to clear everything that he can to open that up as top lane is going close to even and mid lane is pushing a little bit for Gorgwal.
And just look at that CS discrepancy happening early on already in the bot side. 10 CS up, basically, coming in from Rogue Warriors, and this is how they want to play the matchup. They want to continue what they did in Game 1, just take the bot tower early, make sure that Light never gets the chance to scale up to his 35-minute form. And if Kiwi is healthy enough, they could potentially be looking for a dive early on.
They're thinking about it. Double buff still ready for Kiwi if he decides to head down towards that side as the wave is ready to crash in. Even Doinby ducking into his own side of the jungle to keep an eye on that Raptor camp as SOFM heads out of base with challenging Smite. The wave crashes in, but Kiwi's already heading over towards his own Raptor camp to mimic the one taken earlier by SOFM.
Yeah, so Light took no poke damage coming out from SMLZ, didn't dodge all of the never moves, and really denied the potential for any of the tower dive shenanigans that happened early on. But you can still see the bot side is very much controlled by Rogue Warriors. I really like what Kiwi did, leaving one of the small wolves to continue to deny SOFM.
SOFM, he's skirting around the vision in mid lane as Holder takes another trade against Flandre. This is exactly as we saw in that game too. SOFM drops the zombie ward. Doinby, he's thinking about the trade as the wave crashes in. He's never afraid to trade in minions. Happy to trade and burn that mana against Guoguo. But instead, SOFM walks in and has finally been spotted as he steps forward. As Doinby does the same, Kiwi looks for the knockup. Phase Rush is ready. The Rune Prison Snare. He flashes out of this. Both of the junglers are gone, but Doinby flashes in. First blood for Doinby.
That was a really good move coming from Doinby. Actually arriving
flash piercing arrow auto. Light, even with the delayed animations, is able to find a 2v2 kill against SMLZ.
And what happened towards the bot lane? But the kill trade overall, I feel like it was very questionable on SOFM's side. He definitely knew that Rise was walking over there. Like, Doinby did not take some hidden route. It was in plain view of Guoguo, and for some reason they still decided to opt in for that trade, giving first blood over to Rogue Warriors. Good stun coming in, Ignite goes down.
And, SMLZ walks up and disrespects the flash and pays the iron price as he dies and heads back down into that bottom lane with only a Ruby Crystal and boots. Whereas on the other side, you've got a Vamp Scepter for Light. Suddenly that lane is a whole lot safer as he is able to lifesteal himself up to full.
Yeah, and that was unexpected from that bot lane. Of course, Swain and Shen is a kill lane, but it isn't a push lane. Actually, if you leave it alone and it's purely the 2v2, Light should be able to poke the situation out.
Knocked against the wall, and knockupped, and stunned, and another kill. SMLZ. Ooh, this is a rough game for him today as he gives over 2 kills in the laning phase alone. And this is without SOFM on this side of the map. We talked about one of the potential weaknesses for Snake is that they have a tendency to play towards top and mid, as we just saw from SOFM trying to gank mid lane a few minutes ago. But Light and Maestro are finding advantages just through the laning phase, just off SMLZ's hubris.
Oh boy, look at that minion wave. He's definitely going to lose that cannon. I don't think he makes it in time.
1, 2, he might get in range,
got the Empire vision.
Yeah, Visions of Empire.
Well done.
Is able to get him in there. Now Doinby and Kiwi looking for Guoguo. There's no flash, Realm Warp, but he's still got the cleanse. Kiwi decides not to step up.
That was just a transit. Nothing to see here.
Taking the bus across the lane. Now the target's Killua. He's got flash, but lands a Shadow Dash onto Spirit's Refuge, soaks some of the damage, but not the Blight stacks. As SOFM is forced to back away from Kiwi. We're seeing a lot more action in this game.
Yeah, definitely centered on the bot lane, and I think Rogue Warriors' game plan is actually backfiring on them a little bit with Rogue Warriors giving up so many advantages bot side. It definitely shouldn't have happened in this matchup, and you're seeing what's happening right now is that Kiwi is trying to find his way back.
No, Killua still held on to the flash. That's the Shadow Dash, and that's the flash. They're just playing in the brush. They're playing the vision against Rogue Warriors and playing a better lane. Now, Rogue Warriors, Kiwi and Doinby are trying to take something across the map as red buff is stolen away from SOFM, but that gives an opportunity for SOFM to look for an invade on the Raptor camp of Rogue Warriors.
In this Swain lane, it could go from bad to worse. You talk about the summoner exchanges and just the fact that early on, Swain actually has one of the lowest armor values.
Ooh, Woko. Missing the petrifying gaze.
Was a little bit close.
There's an expression on your face, Clement.
Yeah, that was pure luck, honestly.
Yeah, it appears to be disbelief, if I had to put a word to what I'm seeing on your face right now.
I felt that should have landed, but it didn't. Kiwi gets to walk away scot-free.
This time.
Yep.
Just at the edge of the hitbox.
I like the anticipation, however, because Kiwi's #1 job right now is to get vision control back on the bot side. It's no longer a sustainable lane after your AD carry's been killed twice. They're going to have to affect that quite heavily with jungle interference. So that anticipation was very noteworthy coming out from Snake. They definitely knew the pathing that Kiwi had to take.
And that's always been one of the strong suits of SOFM, known so often as the pathing jungler, because of how well he keeps tabs on his opponent. He sees a single camp missing and knows exactly where the enemy jungler is. Plus his propensity to invade and step into the enemy jungle and take those camps themselves generally forces difficult decisions upon his opponent that SOFM has a pretty good read on. But SMLZ, he's sitting down bottom lane as recall has finally been completed from Killua, picks himself up a Ruby Crystal and Boots. Catalyst finally finished for SMLZ and a Dark Seal, but that Swain has been slowed down so much and the Varus has been accelerated. The Varus that took MVP in Game 2, I might add.
Yeah, Light looking sharp once more. And the question for Rogue Warriors is... I was just distracted by that play a little bit. But the question for Rogue Warriors is, how do they actually rebound from the bot lane? Because they don't have kills like they did in Game 2 against the Cassiopeia. They can't really move the Rise that easily. And the Xin Zhao, he's going to have to make multiple visits toward the bot lane to actually change the scenario here. Because the vision is so well done from Snake. They're going to have to wrestle it back the first time and then go for ganks the second or third time. So it's a very long process for them. And I don't think they can afford to let the bot lane lose.
And look at how they are setting up that vision as they decide to engage instead. Chains of Corruption, Maestro flashing from SMLZ to get out of that. That's a ward teleport onto the minion SMLZ. Trying to do whatever damage he can as Doinby joins up Rune Prison, but the Lamb's Respite, that means Spellflux can bounce on everyone. Kiwi gets in, the heal comes across, and it's a cleanup from Rogue Warriors. They find 3, chasing onto Guoguo as Holder follows through, and that's a good pierce from Kiwi to find himself the solo kill effectively, and Flandre dies. Snake get aced for 2 members of Rogue Warriors.
Oh, that was such a good series of play. Rogue Warriors, SMLZ with the pullback, and then Kiwi with the 3-man knockback. That just killed any hope that Snake was going to get out of that situation. That was out-execution coming from Rogue Warriors, forcing Light to take the long way around. You could see the start of the fight heavily favored Light. They had the item advantage. They even had the CS lead, but you could see the teleports coming in, trying to save it. The pullback puts Light in a very tough spot where he needs to take the longer way around. Guoguo was trying to save it, but watch Kiwi pushes 3 people straight back into the arms of Rogue Warriors.
And that's the instinct that we were talking about from Rogue Warriors, their ability to react on a dime. As Hex Flash over the wall, they're collapsing on SMLZ and Killua again. As Light walks up, he doesn't have Chains of Corruption, but he might not need it. As SOFM finds himself a kill in the mid lane, that was a dive from Holder, Doinby, and Kiwi to get a kill onto Guoguo. We might be getting ourselves a turret race here, as Rogue Warriors already did take that first brick in the bottom lane. As Killua forced to get out of this one. There he goes, blast cone to safety.
We'll get himself out of there scot-free, but they will lose the mid tower. And once again, the question is, where are they going to place the Cassiopeia now that she doesn't have a safe place to farm?
Oh, Cask onto Doinby. That's the Stand United. He flashes over the wall. Stopwatch. Flandre has his own flash. Can they lock him down in time? The Realm Warp. They even use that just in case he's able to make it, as it's a late flash burned by Flandre and dies in midair. Now, the mid-tier 1 is already taken. Mid-tier 2 gets chunked down, and Kiwi is looking for the first dragon of the game, but these are some reckless trades out of Rogue Warriors. They have completely sacrificed their bottom half of the map. 5 deaths by the 12-minute mark of the game, but they have snowballed so much in the top lane. 4-0 on 1, 2-0 and 4 on Doinby in the mid lane. Kiwi at 1-0 on 5 himself.
Yeah, so Rogue Warriors just came up with an out-macro play after their micro play. Let's see what happens in the mid lane. We didn't catch it off of the replay of the top lane, but it does look like a fairly simple pick-off coming in from Holder, and they do get the mid lane tower as well. What I want to point note to is the combination of the Shen Stand United with Holder going in on the hook shot. That timing was done expertly to catch Flandre out. The Stand United was on mid-air during the hook shot, so there was no time after the hook shot stun for Flandre to even use his flash to get out of the situation. Really well comboed on Rogue Warriors.
Playing on the edge of instinct, on the edge of reaction like that, Rogue Warriors are able to simply outpace and react faster than Snake for so far. And now as we crest over the 13-minute mark, that's resulting in a 4,000 gold advantage. 3.5 if you want to get nitpicky. But they're going to convert that into some big objectives here as SMLZ makes his way back into top lane, finally finishing off his Rod of Ages 13.5 minutes in, while Kiwi finishes off the Rift Herald on his own. He knows he's got support in the mid lane and his top lane keeping vision too, though Maestro and SOFM will walk up to contest some of this vision.
Of course, Rogue Warriors does know that they are around the area, and what we should see from Kiwi is just using the Herald top lane and then transitioning their team into the 1-3-1. If you look at Camille right now, she is massive. 4-1-0, Rise is 2-0-4. They could definitely start the split push. They could probably even do it against bad matchups like the Cassiopeia. And that's the real danger of Rogue Warriors' composition. Sure, their bot lane fed. They fed pretty heavily, but their solo lanes are now so far ahead that they basically open up a new win condition in the 1-3-1.
They've still got that Rift Herald to open up the map even further. That's sitting comfortably in Doinby's trinket slot. The double Dark Seal to give him so much sustain whenever he uses that Corrupting Potion, as he's already finished off his Archangel Staff and is now pushing Guoguo to the mid-tier 2, while Holder does the same in that bottom lane, which buys time for SMLZ on the other side. But here comes the potential collapse. Doinby and Kiwi trying to contest over vision. That's even the Herald being used. Flandre, body slam, cast, denies it. Holder tries to make the best by engaging. Decides not to go for the all-in. Doinby sets up the Realm Warp to zone SOFM away, but already Snake are able to deny the chase as Doinby just being a little disrespectful there.
Great play coming in from Flandre. But didn't even need to use much. Like, saved on his flash. He knew the damage wasn't going to kill him.
Max range, body slam, cask. And that means SMLZ is left all by his lonesome and allows Light to get more CS over here. That very big Varus, that very important Varus. The very important Varus. Verily verifies the vilification of Rogue Warriors.
I thought you were going to go with more V words. I'm disappointed now.
The V soliloquy. That would be a good one, as Light trying to dodge around these spells. Killua walks up along with Maestro. Both supports get there at exactly the same time. So there's no incentive for either of the teams to all in. And while the 1-3-1 doesn't pay off yet for Rogue Warriors, they've still got the snowball. They've still got the opportunity. They've roamed once with Doinby and Kiwi. They can absolutely do it again.
I actually felt the Herald play into the bot side. I understood what they were trying to do was that if you have that second bot tower down, then your split push with a top laner becomes that much more powerful because you have so much time to roam over while the other person needs to think about using a teleport to get over there. But however, I still felt like they could have gone for the top lane because if you open up the top lane, then you just get Rise on split push duty as well. Like, it transitions you earlier into the 1-3-1 rather than the 4-1.
Well, this is the delayed take from Rogue Warriors. They're still able to get the top tier 1 turret by rotating Kiwi and Doinby using Holder to hold down the fort in the mid lane, but it's not quite as threatening. They tried to take the pinky and the ring finger when they were only offered the pinky, and that hand gets slapped away, so instead they just have to take that one turret as Snake. Oh boy, over the wall. Oh boy, good Crescent Slash denies the damage and keeps SOSM from chasing. He flashes and escapes with his life. Now Doinby is going to force the chase as Killua collapses onto Maestro. Uses the Unbreakable Will, but Doinby will happily walk up with Killua and lock down that kill. Even Visions of Empire giving an assist to SMLZ.
I did not expect him to survive that. Really good Crescent Guard, knocks people backwards, and also I felt like Snake actually they held back on their abilities. They weren't willing to full commit and just kill Kiwi immediately, which is honestly what I felt like they should have done. You could see that the Cask and the Cassiopeia Petrify weren't used in that scenario.
That hesitation perhaps punishing them as Doinby walks up to contest the red buff. SOFM smites secure as the waves continue to crash in, but Holder, seeing Flandre mid, has a wave pushed up to the bottom tier 2, and the top tier 1 was finished in the meanwhile. So now we're starting to see the map open up a little bit more. Holder more emboldened to push for this bottom tier 2. And the next Cloud Dragon is spawning as well, further enabling the rotations of Rogue Warriors.
Just check out the CS lead that Rise has over Cassiopeia at this point. He was allowed to farm the entire map while Guoguo was relegated to standing underneath his second tower. So that really is a difference.
Oh no, Maestro in the same spot. Look at the burst. That's 2 items, double Dark Seal, Banshees, and the Seraph's Embrace. That's all he had.
Unfortunate coming in from Maestro. He did need to set up vision there, but Doinby at this point is very big.
3,000 gold ahead of Guoguo. Opposite him in the bottom lane, it's only a 400 gold advantage for Light despite the trouble in the bottom lane. But then in the top lane, it's another 1,700 gold advantage for Holder at 4-0-1 as Kiwi takes that Cloud Dragon. The next will be an Ocean. And that's the 1-3-1. Doinby's up top, Holder's down bottom. Both have got teleport. One of them has that Realm Warp. Kiwi just has to pick and choose which lane he wants to break open.
Pretty much. It's actually not even that hard of a deal. Right now, I think Doinby could do 2v1 quite easily, so he's going to be the big point on the map that moves around.
Ooh, Hextech Ultimatum as Kiwi goes bottom. Visions of Empire. Flandre is being chased. That's the Stand United. He flashes out of this one, and the Shadow Dash misses. Flandre with the fancy feet keeps himself standing. Killer with the stopwatch stalls it out. Knock up onto 2 as SMLZ walks under the turret. He's got Demonic Ascension, but holds on to it. There he goes, finally popping in as Maestro will finally die. SOFM has no way to enter in as Rogue Warriors collapse with teleport from Doinby to break down the tier 2.
The situation was dicey for a moment right there, but Rogue Warriors, their instinct is to group up as soon as possible. Great zoning coming out from SMLZ to stop Light dealing any more damage.
Now they're pushing up to the mid-tier 2, but Light will scare Holder back as instead the blue buff is passed over to Doinby. Got to make sure that carry has everything he needs to carry at 3-0-6. And let's just take a look at that again. It starts with an engage on the Flandre.
So really well played here by Flandre. The only thing he could have done better was he had a potential to knock Camille outside of the Hextech Ultimatum, and that would have canceled the ult. So he did stay in a little bit, but you know, that's a really small nitpick. He dodges out on the Shen, puts Killua in such a bad position, but the entire team of Rogue Warriors is here. The full 5 men to make sure the support is alive.
And that's that instinct, reacting without thinking from Rogue Warriors that gets them to the play that much faster. The Stand United from Killua as he responds, teleport from Doinby to get in there. And while Doinby doesn't have the teleport, he nearly has his Realm Warp back up once again with bottom tier 2 down. Now they just have to worry about 2 lanes to split push.
Interesting item build coming out from Swain. We're actually seeing the Twin Shadows being built.
Yeah. Spooky Ghosts, they're back. Gosh, it's been so long.
Yeah, I really like the idea. If you're playing a 1-3-1 and you're going in the mid lane and you have to play safe a lot of times but still try to affect the other lanes, then as a Swain, you now have 2 slows. You have your W, Visions of Empire, yeah. And then you can...
And Spooky Ghost makes it easier to hit Visions of Empire.
Yeah.
Which probably buys enough time for someone to collapse if you use the vision of those Spooky Ghosts.
It's not a combat stat effective item, but I like the utility that it gives you if you're going into a 1-3-1. This is a very rare case scenario item.
Considering the fact that he is 0, 4, and 7. 4 out of his team's 5 deaths.
The best you can say at this point is, I'm helping.
Yeah, still playing respectfully, not allowing himself to fall too far behind with these utility stats. Doinby's still massive as he sells a Dark Seal and buys a full Rylai's at 3-0-6. Ravenous Hydra, meanwhile, finished off for Holder along with that Triforce.
So Rylai's is not a typical item build coming out of the Rise. A lot of times you actually see the straight build going for the Death Cap or the Magic Penetration. But the reason he's doing it is because he is playing a side lane Rise. You're going into the 1-3-1, you're trying to make sure that you draw as much attention as possible, that people can't solo you or can't walk away from the solo. And then Rylai's becomes a very good item buy. So Rogue Warriors overall, I really like the way they're itemizing. It really does go towards their win condition, as well as being good items in general for their champions.
And this is a completely different top lane matchup as a result of the early games. Trading at 5-0-1, Holder is able to actually split push against the Gragas. He's able to land the big Q2s, the tactical sweeps, precision protocols for big hits, and is pushing all the way up to the inhibitor turret. Flandre can't even defend it, while Doinby and Kiwi are working on the top tier 2. SOFM is still within the ring. They know that he's there.
True damage does, of course, affect the towers as well, and you can see such a massive chunk already going in for Holder. This is a bit of luck on Rogue Warrior's side, if you do have 4 kills from an ace on one person, then...
That helps.
Yeah, that definitely helps you snowball.
Realm Warp from Doinby to give vision. He follows the edge of it forward as Twin Shadows is used to scout out and provide further pick. But Rogue Warriors, they're pushing all the way up to the inhibitor turrets as it's 6 turrets to 0. And we're looking at a replica of Game 1 on a completely different set of champions, but a very similar style from Rogue Warriors.
Yeah, the big difference here is, of course, the early skirmishes, which went massively into Rogue Warriors' favor. In Game 2, Snake was able to hold out with their composition. They were able to fight around the Baron area, which is what this composition is very good at doing. But if they're split up, if they don't have side lane control, and they're always having to react, they're actually a very slow team to do so. Their carries don't have a lot of mobility. They don't have cross-map play. And they're being forced into the Baron.
Flandre's grouped up with his team. He's trying to recall to get back to base, but Doinby's clearing vision around the Baron. The inhibitor might just go down before anyone gets a chance to respond. The recall was canceled and restarted from Flandre, which means Holder finishes off the Baron. Rogue Warriors don't even hesitate. They turn onto the Baron in the meanwhile. As the inhibitor went down, now Snake, they're going to step into vision and force Rogue Warriors back, but it's still huge advantage for RW.
And Snake just lose everything. I believe their teleports were, their backs were stopped by either Spooky Ghosts or even potentially just the Visions of Empire, because it was a really weird call for Snake to stay around that long. So I believe there was interruption involved.
Just didn't quite get to see it on our screen as Kiwi, he's now taking the Ocean Dragon. Rogue Warriors, they're taking one thing after the next, after the next, after the next. The only time that they haven't been able to was that Rift Herald play due to Flandre disabling it with the Body Slam cast. And 3 dragons to 0, 7 turrets to 0, and inhib down by 25 minutes. Rogue Warriors they're putting on a clinic here, Clement.
Yeah, it's a really good showcase on how you actually snowball and dominate a game. I felt like their early skirmishes were correct, and then their early macro plays were superior. They bursted down Gulgul. They were on the second foot in that trade, but they chose to burst down Gulgul and take the mid lane tower completely away. After that, Cassiopeia, who is supposed to be a counter matchup into the Rise, fell so far behind in terms of the CS scored, and it just opened the entire map up to Rogue Warriors. So we're really seeing Rogue Warriors play a new style with Holder in their lineup, because we don't typically see Mouse play the 1-3-1.
Yeah.
When Mouse is on the roster, they're much more about freight training. They're just
flanks
going,
and tanks.
Yeah, going in 5-man, trying to rush a position down. But with Holder, who is much more of a carry-oriented top laner, we can see Rogue Warriors now branch out into different strategies.
This could be a scary team if they start to take an approach like Invictus Gaming, looking at a lane kingdom strategy. If SMLZ is able to win his bottom lane, if Doinby is able to win his mid lane, which, by the way, if he finishes this Gromp, there it goes, Flame Horizoned Gulgul, 102 CS ahead. And Holder providing carry threat from the top lane. He's only 20 CS ahead, but at 5-0-1, snowballed off of that team fight is absolutely something that Snake have got to be worried about, as Doinby is one-shotting minions with that overcharge.
And Snake are known for a team to find very good engages for themselves as well. And you can see Rogue Warriors are playing so safe. They're having so much vision control that they know when to back out when necessary. And the most remarkable thing about this 1-3-1 is that Snake has found no opportunities. They had 0 chances of actually making an engage. Usually you try to take out the top lane, you take out the 3-man mid, but Rogue Warriors have given them 0 chances. Snake has no retaliation. They've just stayed back and taken it. A lot of it, I believe, is because Rogue Warriors, they played very carefully. They had good vision control. They had good itemization with the Spooky Ghosts. And they just kept Snake at arm's length.
They are opening this game wide up. And Snake, now very far from the Baron pit. They've got to have some semblance that this is going on. Gulgul trying to bait and step forward. Doinby over the wall. He's got Flash, Room Prison if he decides to go for it. There's the Miasma. It's on top of Doinby. plus the hail of arrows for a little bit more. It's down to 3,000. SOFM walks into the pit. He's going to try to finish it off. Realm Warp to get behind it. A Snake go in. Lamb's Respite is ready, but they've already killed SOFM before he can ult, and Rogue Warriors are just cleaning up the kills off the back. Maestro over the wall along with Guoguo trying to do what they can, but SMLZ chasing Guoguo down, cleanses through the petrifying gaze and walks these kills away. As the Baron is finished off, Blondre's back in base, didn't even get the chance to teleport the cask onto Doinby to try to get him out of this, but already he's set to close this game out.
Mind games on top of mind games to close out the last fight. Doinby using the Realm Warp behind the Baron pit, and Light decides to flash towards inside the Baron pit to try to finish it off, but waiting for them is the Shen, is Kiwi with the Xin Zhao going up and killing SOFM before he even drops the ultimate.
And that's the finish for Rogue Warriors. 28 minutes in, they take the victory over Snake, rectifying any and all mistakes from Game 2.
Rectifying a lot of mistakes from their bot lane as well. It started out as a disaster, and it looked like Snake was going to be able to start their sieges, but the first big skirmish in the bot lane, 5 kills going over to Rogue Warriors, a clean ace. Really put things on a completely different trajectory.
Oh, yeah.
I actually don't think it was 5 kills, but, you know, Holder got 5 kills in the early game.
A little bit separated there from the rest of his team as Rogue Warriors go over and shake hands with Snake, before stepping to the front of Chongqing to once again take a bow in front of the fans.